Welcome back to FM Stories. We're about to embark on season 7 of our save, trying to end the dominance of Celtic and Rangers in Scottish football. Last season was a bit of a mixture. In season 5, we'd managed to split Rangers and Celtic in the league, with Celtic winning the title, us 10 points behind them, but 10 points ahead of Rangers in second place. Last season saw us slip back to third, and we weren't anywhere really near Celtic or Rangers at all. Our league form in the second half of the season in particular kind of fell off a bit. However, in our first season in the Europa League in the save, we managed to make it all the way to the quarterfinals. We knocked out Fenerbahce in the qualifying rounds. We finished second in the league phase, only behind Man United. We knocked out Athletic Bilbao in the round of 16. And we beat Juventus 1-0 in the first leg of the quarterfinal before going on to lose 6-4 on aggregate after extra time. We've had a pretty hectic summer in terms of transfers, so hopefully the squad is about ready for the start of season 7. So without further ado, let's get into the action. So we're at the opening day of the league season. As I said, we've had a fairly busy summer in terms of the transfer market. Looking at the outs first, Tommy Doyle and Mahan Sadeghi left at the end of their contract. Danny Smith's gone back on loan to Aberdeen, where he was at last season. We sold Liam Kelly for $6 million because he wanted a change. We sold Lucas Asadi for up to $9 million because he wasn't really getting in the team. And obviously, as someone who's got a work permit, probably wasn't going to get an extension at the end of his contract. There was interest in Sota Khan last summer, and we said to him if we got an offer of 17.75 million, we would accept it. Rangers came in with an offer of 17.5 million, rising to 19.5 million. So we were kind of backed into a corner there. We've accepted that, but I don't expect that he's going to play an awful lot for them. So I think it's probably a bit of a waste of a move. We sold Lewis Binks to AEK for 2.6 million. Gianluca Prestiani never really worked out, never really got himself into. I think he only ended up playing 5 games in a season and a half or 2 seasons that we had him. So he's gone back to Argentina. And Jose Roca, who we had and loaned out last season, went to Fiorentina for 12 million, rising to 15.75 million. There was interest in and offers received for Bradley Barcola, Samson Elise as well. We managed to reject them without them throwing the toys out of the pram so far. In terms of the incomings, so we started with a free transfer for Abdoulaye Apia from the Right to Dream Academy. Basically anywhere down the centre of the pitch, probably either that defensive midfield role or in the centre of midfield. Because he can play at centre half. The only thing that puts me off at centre half is his jumping reach, his height, his heading isn't great. But hopefully as an 18-year-old, he's going to develop into something a bit good. And then the next few transfers were free transfers. So we picked up Predrag Kosic at the end of his contract as a potential player on the left-hand side. We re-signed Lennon Miller after he'd been released by Chelsea, just because he helps massively with the registration in Europe. He's homegrown at the club, which is something that we've always struggled with. And he was happy just to be a fringe player in the squad as well. So it's not like he's going to be banging down the door looking for first team football every week, at least to begin with. And then having sold Liam Kelly, we brought in Sheriff Zebra, an Ivory Coast international goalkeeper from Mimosas. At just 19 years old, looks like he could be pretty decent, and hopefully with some first team football he'll be able to develop into a really decent choice for us. And then we spent some money. So we as with the last couple of seasons, what we've done is kind of gone for young players that can develop, that are either going to be good for us for a few seasons, or if they really hit it off, we can sell on. So the first of those this summer was Jorge Rodriguez, 5-star potential. can play in the centre midfield, can play in the number 10 role, but it's that 20 determination that really, a 20 determination perfectionist along with that potential. Hopefully he's really going to develop into that level of player. We then, having sold Lewis Binks, we picked up Jacques Hideroa, Mexican international centre half. He's 6'6", 17 jumping reach, 15 heading, and again the 5-star potential seemed like a decent deal to do, and hopefully he can prove himself in the first team. And then we also signed Nicolas San Martin from Boca Juniors, 4.5-star potential. Looks like a decent player. Again, 6'4", 16 jumping reach. Maybe he's not as technically developed as some of the other players we've had, but he is someone that we're looking to potentially loan out for this season, just to get some first team football. It was just to get the extra bodies in, just in case we do end up having to sell Samson Elise. I mean, at the minute we've got Elise, we've got Edstrom, we've got Hideroa, we've got Leon King, and we've got Nicolas San Martin as central defensive options. As far as the vision's concerned from the board, they're looking for us to be competitive in the Europa League, which means that, well, that's all it says really. We're expected to qualify for the Europa League from the league again. We're expected to challenge for the Scottish Cup and the Scottish League Cup this season, which means we need to make the semi-finals of both competitions. And as far as the season preview is concerned, I think this might actually be the shortest our odds have been the whole time, with 13-1 in third place. And we've got a player in the Media Dream 11 in Samson Elise. Coming up, I think we've got a pretty decent start to the season. The first couple of months of the season, we don't play Rangers or Celtic. We do have the Europa League playoff once we get drawn into it, sort of the last couple of weeks of August there. But I think looking at that, we've got Dundee, we've got Dunfermline, Kilmarnock, Queen's Park, who've just been promoted, Hearts, Ross County, who've just been promoted, St Johnstone and Aberdeen in those first couple of months of the season. We've got the second round of the Scottish League Cup against St Mirren, who were relegated last season. So hopefully we can hit the ground running in all those competitions. Obviously the big thing for August is that Europa League playoff, making sure that we make it into the league phase of the Europa League again. Season 7 started pretty well, and we've got the second leg of the playoff for the Europa League coming up against Young Boys next. But before we get into how the season's gone so far, one thing we didn't mention when we were talking about what happened in the summer is I was offered a job during the summer. This is the job I was offered. I was offered the England job after Thomas Frank resigned, having won the Nations League, to take the job at Napoli. I turned it down. They've turned to Unai Emery, who's left Aston Villa, to take the job. But that one was a complete shock when it appeared. After the opening day of the season, we've done one more incoming transfer, in that we've completed the signing of Alan Kerr from Hibernian. I think it's safe to say he's hit the ground running. He's played in 5 games so far this season, scored 2 goals, 4 assists, average rating of 7.82. So really, certainly has hit the ground running there. We were far from our best on the opening day of the season, but we ended up with a 2-1 victory over Dundee United to get the season off to a decent start. We followed that up with a 2-0 victory against Dunfermline and a 3-1 victory in the second round of the Scottish League Cup. We then had the home leg against Young Boys in the playoff of the Europa League, and we came out of the gates firing. We were 5-0 up at half-time, including goals in the 42nd, 44th, and a goal in injury time at the end of the first half. Ended up coming up with a 6-0 victory, put us in a really comfortable position for this second leg coming up. We then picked a fairly rotated team for the game against Kilmarnock, who going into that weekend were top of the table with us in second place. We weren't great in the first half, but we made changes at half time. Bradley Barcola came off the bench to head home at the back post in less than 50 seconds of being on the pitch. Jorge Rodriguez got his first 2 goals for the club in the second half as well. We ran out comfortable 3-0 victors. What it means as far as the league table is concerned is we are currently top of the table, one of only 2 teams that have won every game alongside Celtic. We're top on goal difference at the moment. Interesting to see the start Rangers have had to the season, considering they were favourites for the title last season and they're the favourites for the title this season. To start with 2 draws and a defeat in the 3 games is an interesting start to the season. And now we just need to kick on, make sure we don't do anything stupid in the away leg against Young Boys and make it into the league phase of the Europa League. And what a start to the season we've had. We're top of the table, having won 7 out of 8 games. We're top of the Europa League after winning our opening 2 games of the league phase. And we've got a quarter-final of the League Cup coming up against Hibs. So without further ado, let's get into the action. We've played 1 game since the end of the last episode, and it didn't go particularly well. We lost 2-1 to Hibs away from home. We were atrocious for pretty much the whole game, and the concerning factor is, despite such a good start to the season, we've now lost our last 2 league games 2-1, and we need to put an end to this spiral in bad form. We do have the League Cup quarter-final coming up against Hibs, this time at home, so hopefully we can get a measure of immediate revenge. So this is the side that we have picked for the quarter-final. We've made 2 changes to the team that lost to Hibs in the league game. We've brought Hideroa and Maatsen back into the defence. But other than that, it's the same team, and hopefully Alan Kerr against his old team can put in a much better performance than he did in the league game. And we're playing with that 4-3-3. They've basically got a back 7, 3 at the back, 2 wing backs and 2 defensive midfielders. So it might be a bit tough to break them down. Right, corner, Maatsen to take, swings it in. It's headed up in the air. Babadi chasing back to get the ball. Goes back to Zebra. Geza. Babadi. Still going. Kerr. Garcia into the box. And somehow that's gone out for a throw-in. Alright, Maatsen with the throw. Romeo. Back to Hideroa. Geza. Out to Elise on the right hand side. Cuts in field. Babadi. Maatsen going down the outside. Hideroa. Goes back to Elise. Garcia on the right. Down the line looking for Kerr. Gets his cross in. Barcola at the back post. And we were nice and patient. Waited for the opening. Got the ball in the box, and Barcola at the back post with the header. Puts us 1-0 in front. It's a lovely ball. Gets up above 2. Gives the keeper no chance. And that's much more like it. Right, Maatsen with a corner. It's headed up in the air and then cleared as far as Babadi, who brings it back. Garcia down the line for Kerr. Into the box. Goes for goal, and when he should have probably pulled it back, but it goes behind for a corner. Maatsen to take it. Again into the box. Hideroa gets his head on it. Babadi. Elise. Kerr. Back to Kerr. In. And there's Maatsen on his right foot. Smashes it home. And that's us 2-0 up and really in control of this quarter-final now. Elise into Kerr. He has a shot. And then he just reverse ball. Maatsen takes a touch on his left, smashes it with his right. And that's 2-0. Right. Throw in. Elise back to Kerr. Across. We've worked it across. And there's Maatsen again on his right foot again. And we're starting to run away with this. Went for a shorter throw. And then we just work it across the box until we hit her over onto Maatsen. And he just whips it into that near post. And there we are, that's half time. And we have truly dominated this game. Over 70% possession, 8 shots on target, not allowed them a shot on target, and we're 3-0 up. This is so much better than the dross we've served up in the last 2 league games. Right, we've sent the same team out to start the second half. They've got a throw in our half now. It's the first real attack we've seen from them. And that's not a good start to the half at all. Just got up above the defender and Zebra just couldn't keep it out. Maatsen down the left into Romeo. Hideroa to Giza. Looking for Kerr. It's been cut out. Garcia finds him. Kerr infield. Into Babadi in the box. And we've restored our 3-goal advantage almost immediately. Kerr gets the ball, picks it up, comes in field, feeds it into Romeo, reverse pass to Babadi, and he just slots it through the keeper's legs and puts us 4-1 up. Maatsen with a corner, it's headed clear. Babadi back to Maatsen, into the box. Oof. And the keeper's turned it over, otherwise that could have been his hat-trick. He's gone out to take the corner again. Whips it in, headed up in the air. It comes back to Maatsen again. Drills across it in on his right foot. The keeper comes and claims it. Right, a late corner for them. We've got our head on it, and we've not managed to clear it, but Zebra comes and claims it. And that should be that. We're at the end of it, of injury time, surely. But McAllister coming down the right-hand side. Infield to Rodriguez, back to McAllister. Down the line for Kerr. He's gone past his man, he's into the box. And what a goal. Against his former club, he's just skinned the left back. And he's got into the box and he's just smashed it high past the keeper into the roof of the net. And that's 5-1. And that's end of the game. And that was so much better than what we've put up in the last couple of league games. We're through to the semi-final, as are Rangers and Celtic. Hopefully we avoid them in the draw. But much, much more like it. So we've made it to the semi-final of the League Cup, and we weren't lucky enough to avoid either Rangers or Celtic. We've been drawn against Celtic. We've played 3 games since the quarter-final against Hibs, and safe to say what we've realised is that our second string team is nowhere near as good as our first string team. The immediate game after the Hibs game was a trip to Domzale in the Europa League. We weren't great in the first half. We did take a lead, but they pegged us back before half-time. But we turned on the style a bit in the second half. Elise, Shimahira and Bermudez getting goals to secure a 4-1 victory. We were then at home to Dunfermline in the league, and we basically blew them away in the first half. I mean, we were 1-0 up. They equalised in the 43rd minute, but then we scored in the 44th and in injury time at the end of the first half to go in to half-time 3-1 up. Bradley Barcola got his second in the first minute of the second half, and we went on to run out comfortable 6-1 victors with Barcola picking up a hat-trick. But then the most recent game again away at Dundee United, with one eye on the League Cup semi-final, which for some reason is showing on the schedule as a league game. I don't quite understand that one. And with players struggling fitness-wise, we picked a pretty much rotated team and lost 1-0. They missed a penalty in the second half, and we just were not very good at all. So now we need to go to Hampden and see if we can get a result against a Celtic team that are top of the league and unbeaten in the league so far this season. So this is the side we've picked to go into the semi-final. It's pretty much what we would say was our first choice lineup. And obviously they're unbeaten in the league. This is going to be a tough game. I mean, everything says the Premiership. We've got the league table. But I think this is supposed to be the cup game. This is bizarre. Something's gone wrong here somewhere. Because it tells us it's the League Cup there, but it tells us it's the Premiership there. But it also says it's from Hampden Park, whereas previously it said it was from Celtic Park. In fact, it says it's from Celtic Park there. So something somewhere on the lines has got itself mixed up. But realistically, it doesn't really matter. What we need to do is get a win from this game anyway. Right, Redchick wins it back out to Babadi. Going down the outside, crosses it. Barcola scored. Was he offside? It looks like it might well have been. Nope, it's been given. Redchick out to Babadi. He could have played the ball early to Barcola going in, but he goes down the outside. And lovely ball, lovely finish. Just made a run before the defender. Right, Maatsen with a corner. Headed up in the air. Out as far as Kerr. Into Maatsen in the box. Kerr again. Going the long way around. Gets a shot off. It takes a massive deflection. Flies past the keeper. And that's just 2-0 up after 17 minutes. And this is exactly the start we needed after that horrific league game against Dundee United. Kerr just carries on running, tries to run around the whole team. Eventually gets a shot off on his left foot. It takes a big deflection and flies into the top corner. Right, Maatsen with a corner. Hidero and Elise both went for it. It goes over the top. And there we are, half-time, 2-0 up. We've come absolutely flying out of the blocks. We've not let them get started at all. We just need to keep this up for the second half to guarantee that we make it through to the final. Right, free kick, Redchick to take it. I think he's probably going to whip it in towards that far corner. And the keeper manages to turn it behind for a corner. Maatsen comes across to take it. In towards the near post, it's headed clear, and then they've managed to clear it again. Right, Maatsen with another corner. In towards the near post, Hidero flicked it on. They've cleared it away from the back post. It was just a touch away from going in at the back post. Garcia, back to Gazer. Redchick out to Elise on the right, wide on the right hand side. He's gone down the outside. He pulls it into the box to Garcia, back post. And Babadi's header hits the post and goes behind for a goal kick. Right, we've got a throw in. Gazer gets it back. Then gives it away on the edge of the box. Now they're breaking and we've committed far too many men forward here. Coyle trying to go on the outside. Gets the cross in towards the back post. Elise gets back to win the header. And now Kerr brings it clear for us. Going down the outside. In looking for Barcola. He nods it down. Redchick to Babadi. Back to Barcola. And he was offside. And there we are, full time. And we've made it through to the final. Really strong performance. Dominated the game. Nothing less than we deserved. We've made it to the end of November, and since the Celtic game, things have largely been just outstanding. The first game after the Celtic game was a trip to Brentford in the Europa League, and we just destroyed them. Ended up winning 9-1. We were 5-1 up at half-time. Hat-trick for Barcola, 2 for Kerr, 2 for Romeo. 3 players getting 10 ratings. Just a really outstanding performance. We then went away to Kilmarnock in the league, and a couple of quick-fire goals from Jorge Rodriguez saw us get the victory. We then went away to Queen's Park, and we had a few issues at the back. Hidero had picked up a knock on international duty, and Samson Elise is away at the African Cup of Nations. In the end, we scraped a 2-2 draw at home to Queen's Park there. We did have Babadi sent off in the 27th minute, so things didn't go really our way at all in that game. And then in the most recent game, we had a trip to Lazio in the Europa League. Rodriguez again getting the first goal. Hidaroa with a header in the second half, and a really comfortable 2-0 victory. What it means in terms of the league is that we are third in the league. We've not had the best of episode in the league. We've lost 2 games in the league. This episode we've drawn a game. We're on 28 points after 13 games. We're 4 points behind Rangers with a game in hand, but we're 7 points already behind Celtic. And the concerning thing is we haven't actually played Celtic or Rangers in the league yet this season. But Bradley Barcola is the leading goal scorer with 12. He is the highest average rating and joint second most man of the matches. Retchik and Kerr are right up there in terms of the number of assists this season as well. And as far as the Europa League is concerned, we're already guaranteed to be in the knockout round. We're in a really strong position to make sure we finish in the top 8. We've played 5, we've won 5. We've got a plus 20 goal difference. Alan Kerr's the standout player in the tournament so far this season. Zebra's kept the most clean sheets in the tournament this season. Things are going really well in Europe. And there we have it, the end of another episode. Things haven't gone quite as well in the league this episode as we would have liked. Certainly not as well as the first episode went of this season. But Europa League has been outstanding. We've made it to the League Cup final. So join us next time to see if we can regain that League Cup in a rematch of last season's final. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.